Hello and welcome to Encore Offstage Reviews. This week we are reviewing The Mad Ones by BJW Productions. We want to say a huge thank you for Ben and BJW Productions for giving us an advance review copy of this piece of theatre to watch, and you can stream it yourselves from the day this goes out. So when you see this, so Saturday the 29th of May, you can now go and rent a copy of The Mad Ones, and a link to tickets will be in the description down below. So I guess we should just start with our sort of first thoughts about it. Adam, what do you think about it?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. First of all, it was nice to see something in the theatre. Nice after so long. It's a small cast. I like the music. I liked the story. Took a while to get into, but I liked it. And initial thoughts, I liked it a lot. Lucy?
I really enjoyed it, to be honest. Like you said, it was refreshing seeing something in the theatre. It was well shot. I thought the singing was great throughout. I mean, for instance, I thought it was quite refreshing as well. So the opening number, it's not a big ensemble number. It's a very sort of like sweet. Molly did a beautiful job singing. It was great, and it was so nice and refreshing sort of seeing a piece of theatre where it opened on such a somber solo act, because there's so many musicals where the opening number is all ensemble cast, big loud number. So that was quite nice and refreshing. And yeah, it did take a bit of time to get into the story, but once it was in it and sort of like you knew where it was going, it was really good to get into. And I really enjoyed sort of the actual choice of instruments as well. So there was one point where they played a harp, and it really sort of suited the sort of, because the musical is played in flashbacks. So when they used sort of the harp, it really played into sort of the whimsy of the moment, because obviously it's sort of students, they're sort of on about sort of what their future is going to be. So I really enjoyed sort of the input of instruments in certain bits.
It was nice to have pulled back music. There was like 4 or 5 instruments, if that. And it was just nice to have that, it didn't overpower the voices, but again, the sound mixing was brilliant. Again, you got the lighting was fantastic. You got Harry and you got Jamie, who did that's it. Yeah, thank you. Forgot his name for a second. The lighting and again they did it fantastically. Again, it wasn't overpowering in some senses. It's a very simple set. Very simple set. It was, again, for those just for those of people who are watching this, and as Lucy said, it's set in flashbacks, based in the mind of Molly's character. Molly, by the way, it's her first time directing, I believe, and
yes, it was her first time directing.
She did a very good job. And I think everybody was just great. It was. There were moments where the singing was. What am I trying to say? There were moments in the singing where you're like, "Oh, this is really big and really, really powerful," but also you think to yourself, it may not need it at this point. But that's not the performer's. That's not the performer's fault. That's sometimes the writer's fault. It's like, oh yeah, it's like you could have this really subtly undertoned, which helped with the music and everything. So in terms of the music, and so I'm babbling on about everything, but I think if we structure it with the music. So let's start off with the music. The music was good. Again, new music, original music. It's all done, with the sense of, as I say, flashbacks in mind. There's different styles, but at the same time, there was upbeat music, but it was really, I like the music a lot.
I thought it was just beautifully played. Like Molly in particular, to me, sang so beautifully through it. And I loved how she transitioned so easily between sort of her chest and head voice. It was wonderful. It was wonderful to listen to. And like I said, the instrumentals, like the musicians, I thought were fantastic in it.
Yeah.
I could not fault the music in it. They were stunning. And I love a good violin and harp piece. And it was so refreshing having a musical theatre production where they were so prominent throughout it as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I've been to many performances where somebody's had a harp.
No.
Violin for certain like classical pieces, but never a harp in it. So that was quite nice and refreshing. And I mean, there were some points, I think there were some points where sort of the harmonies could have blended a bit better. But overall, sort of like the singing was very top notch from them. Yeah. Well done all.
But Ben, any thoughts on the songs?
So for me, this is where I'm mixed on this show. But it's nothing to do with the performers or the production. I think this production of this piece is very, very good. My issues lie with the original piece.
Right.
Not being a huge fan of the music all the way through, not being a huge fan of the story particularly. But
what was it about it you didn't like? Music. What was it about the music?
Yeah, the music. I think for me, it felt like it never really got going. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. It felt like it was very similar all the way through.
Okay.
There were very few points where it really changed up, and we had the same. And it was. It almost. It's like it sounded very similar just throughout the whole thing, and that. Okay. But that meant it didn't grab me, didn't engage me as much as it could have done.
Now you see, that's interesting because I didn't feel that. I didn't find that. I thought there were parts that. I think themes that were through, which were carried through, and with the characters. But things like "Have Sex with Me" and various songs like that, were different, slowed up a little bit, but also you had that chance to be funny. What was the Cookies song? I can't remember the name of the song, but the Cookies.
Would you like some? I made cookies.
I made cookies. Yeah, and it just threw in that little bit of. It turned very grandiose, which was great. So music I liked, but I can understand where you're coming from on that one.
I have to admit, I really enjoyed the dark humour, but I like the Cookies one. Yeah. The "Have Sex with Me" song. I loved like what the actors did with that. So it was hilarious seeing sort of like Kelly and the mother doing sexy dancing in the background. Yeah. It was hilarious how they acted it. I just thought, why these lyrics? They could have phrased it a little bit more like artistically rather than just "have sex with me." It's like, okay, take it down a notch.
Yeah, all right, yeah, it's all right. I'm just getting the phone. Hang on a minute.
Although seeing Aidan talking dirty to food to me was hilarious.
That was hilarious. Yeah. And so speaking of which, let's move on to the performers because I couldn't find a thing wrong with any of it. They were all uber talented. And they just, Alice as well. Alice Imelda, who was new. I think she was new for the week. She stepped in at the last minute. Bless her. She took on Beverly. I could tell that she was young. But there was moments like in the scene where she's standing outside with Molly's character, and I'm like, I could swear you were like 40. Just acted it so well.
To be honest, that was my only critique because she acted it perfectly, but they didn't make her look very old. So it was kind of that juxtaposition because I'm like, I'm aware you should be in sort of like your 40s.
Yeah. She acted it, but again, a little bit of makeup or some sort of something that would just make her look a little bit older. That I agree. But at the same time, I was like, she looks about 20, but the way she was acting, I could swear she was about 34.
Yeah, she acted it brilliantly.
Yeah. Aidan, his singing ability is fantastic. He can act really well. He's got good comic timing. Comic timing.
Great comic timing.
They all have. For Molly to be able to direct and play the lead in this show as well, that's not easy to do. And she's
Hats
got,
off to you, girl. You did a great job.
yeah, too right. And Emily, bless her, she really played the part, of just being this over the top, friendly character, best friend's character. But there were moments of emotion in there as well that just lay below the surface. It was, the performances were top notch.
Yeah, Emily played the dark humour spot on. I love like dark humour in productions.
Oh God, yeah,
spot on with that.
Oh, we're all a bit like that, aren't we? We like to find a little bit, a little dark humour, but it shouldn't laugh at. What about you, Ben? What about the performances?
Yeah, can't fault them. I mean, for a cast of 4, they did do a phenomenal job. That was brilliant. I mean, yeah, as I said, I can't fault this production of it. Yeah, they were all brilliant. I mean, obviously, you two know them all better than I do.
Yeah. But you're in a better place to know them objectively. You can.
Yeah, from an audience perspective, words. Yeah, I can't fault it. They were all really, really, really good. I thought their voices gelled beautifully together at points. It was. Yeah, I can't fault it.
What sort of like nitpicky things did you have about the show though, Adam? Were there any point? Yeah.
Nitpicky. The one main nitpicky bit I have, and I was just about to come on to this, is I think the space is too big for that show.
It needs to be more intimate.
It needs to be more intimate. That was the only thing I thought, because it was a huge space, because it's the Derby Theatre, and they used the space well. But I think, and again, it's not a criticism of the show. It's just the fact that the space that needed to be in something like a studio, or even like not a warehouse, but like somewhere that's really small, that's a really smaller space, just so that you can get across. Maybe even like a pub, upstairs, and a function room, something like that, where you don't need the set was simple. The set was simple, and it came across with what they needed to do. You could do that in any venue. But I understand for the the filming and everything else, and it worked. But that was just my nitpick. I think that it was too big a space for what they'd got.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. Yeah.
I didn't actually think of that, but now that you've said that, because there was one point where the camera angle, it was kind of from the corner, and I was like, that looks way too much space for sort of that instance. And now you've said that, that does make a lot more sense now.
I mean, again, and you're just thinking you've got so much further to travel, just bring everything, make it a smaller. I mean, they did the best that they could. They used the whole space, which we're getting onto. The Derby Theatre stage is a big place, and you want to use it all, but at the same time, don't be. I would have said, don't be afraid to make it really a bit claustrophobic. It's in her mind, so it's got to give the impression of this is all happening in a particular. Okay, these places are happening in various different locations, but it's still in her mind, and it's still focused on her. Whereas the minute she becomes part of the bigger picture, the main character gets lost a little bit to me. So it needed that intimacy, which they got in the performances, but the space just a little bit to like, that's a big space, But again, this is a tiny nitpick. Tiny. I love the music. Anything else? No, I'd agree with Ben in a slight bit. Some of the music, again, in musical, it's not catchy. It's not one of those things where you go away and go, I remember every single.
Yeah. I'll agree with that.
But then again, some musicals don't do that. Not all musicals do that. You're not going to go away and remember every single song in the show. But no, it was. I liked it. I like as a performance. Yes. As a story. Yes. As a musical, I'd say it was a play with music.
Yeah, definitely play with music.
And I did feel at points where it felt that this show could have benefited from less music or no music, almost. Yeah. It felt at points actually this story could be told more effectively via a play format, perhaps.
Mm.
At points, I thought that.
You know what, like, speaking about the play sort of like angle as well, one of my nitpicks was, and it's not the fault of the performers but the musical itself, I would have liked more expansion on sort of Aidan and Alice's character, so Adam and the mother. I don't think they kind of gave enough sort of development for theirs. They were kind of just sort of there almost. And then
now you say it, it's almost like, oh, we've got these two characters, but we need to add some other people in because otherwise it's just a duologue.
Yeah. I feel like they didn't really give enough sort of expansion on sort of them as a person, because then when you get to the ending, you didn't really feel much emotion towards those other people.
No.
Like, you didn't even sort of consider sort of like their opinions and things, because they were just kind of there to assist the story.
I'd agree with that. Again, there's a moment where you go, you know, so and so is going to be, you know, mad, yeah. So and so is going to be mad, yeah. And it's like, yeah, they probably are actually, or are they? You know, I didn't quite get, like they say, the developers of the show, the writers of the show, could have delved into that more. But again, having said that, it was a one-act musical. So to contain that into 90 minutes, you know, it was, you know, what you got in 90 minutes was great. And again, like I say, sometimes you think you could have done that without. I agree. A lot of it, in fact, most of it, you could probably do without music. But for me, the music didn't detract too much most of the time.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And we should also say this musical has been produced in. Oh, one sec, Adam. Sorry, I was to say this musical has been produced in the midst of COVID, so we have to. I mean, good job, really. To do that, produce that bit of theatre in the current global climate, it's incredible. It is
absolutely.
We should comment on that.
A good point. It takes a hell of a lot of dedication. And again, Ben's worked hard. Ben, who runs BJW, he's worked hard to get that together and to be able to get the space, to work with the space, to work with the performers, to put it all on, get everything together, ready to do it as a show that's rentable.
Yeah.
You know, that's not easy to do in the current climate. At the moment, restrictions are starting to ease off a little bit, but obviously this was done before that.
Yeah.
And for what they did, obviously, they've worked hard at it and made sure that it's all what they needed to do with it. So, yeah, hats off to them. They've done really well.
They did a fantastic job with that.
I'd have been happy to have seen that. I'd been happy to pay money to see that live.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I would have been happy to pay money to see that live.
Yeah, and maybe part of my gripes with the music and the actual original work rather than the production of it may have been resolved if I've seen it in person live rather than at home streamed, perhaps.
There's always that sense of when you watch something from home, you don't feel the connection.
And you don't get the atmosphere either.
Yeah.
And they're the two things, actually, that would have made this work for me, perhaps. Yeah. And that is, again, no fault of the production company. That is just the situation we find ourselves in still.
Yeah. Well, this is it with the reviewers, isn't it? You learn what the material is, but then you're going to review the performance of it, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, for me, I liked it. I thought the music was good. I thought the performers were excellent. I thought the staging was good. I think they could have used a smaller space, but they used the space that they got well. I thought the lighting and the sound was excellent. I'd give it a thumbs up.
So Adam will give it a thumbs up.
I get a thumbs up, mate.
What would you give it, Adam? Lucy, sorry.
I'd definitely give it a thumbs up. Like, I didn't have the issue because I sort of sat and watched it in a dark room, so it was more like a theatre film kind of thing, and that to me really worked with it. And like the only sort of main critique I had is it is a very dark set. It was very dark. That was my only sort of critique. I would have liked sort of more flashes of colour in places, but that's my only sort of critique. Like the dynamic between the actors was great, especially between sort of like Molly and Emily. Like it was really good. They played off each other so well. And like I said, the musicians beautifully played, and sort of overall sort of the camera, the lighting, fantastic. They all did a great job. So yeah, thumbs up for me from that.
And I think I would actually give it a thumbs up. And that is, I think that's purely because of the production of this musical. Because I don't think you can fault too much of the production. No. As I say, my only gripes come with the original material. For me. And maybe it just perhaps wasn't my cup of tea, and perhaps it wasn't the right time for me to watch it.
It was a good revival.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's what I'm looking for. So yes, I would give it a thumbs up from me, which means our official Encore Offstage podcast
rating system,
which is new, by the way, gives us, we give 3 thumbs up to the Mad Ones.
3 out of 3.
3 out of 3. Yes, absolutely. We definitely recommend you go and watch this. You can stream this from tonight, which is Saturday the 29th of May from 7:30, and it's streaming with a matinee on the Sunday, and then every evening, and sort of it's just streaming from tonight. It's just random dates I'm looking now. The last date to watch it though is Saturday the 5th of June at 7:30. So you basically, I think you have a week. But go stream it. We recommend it. It's a good piece of theatre, and support local theatre, please.
Congratulations to the cast and everybody involved.
You did such a great job.
You did such a great job. Yes, go and support local theatre, because without supporting stuff like this, situation where we can go back and when it comes to normal. So give it a watch, guys. It's worth it.
And if you have any shows that you want us to sort of watch and review, then let us know. Drop us a message and we'll have a look.
You may have noticed we are shifting slightly to shorter form, more regular content. So we're doing a lot more reviews. So absolutely let us know what you want us to review, and we will do it. Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for reviewing this show with me. Again, huge thank you to Ben and BJW Productions for providing us with an advanced copy for us to review. We're going to make that very clear again. And we'll be back very soon with more reviews, quizzes, games, discussions, all that sort of stuff. And don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, where you can find all of that stuff on there as well. Links to tickets and Mad Ones will be in the description down below as well. Cracking. Well, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
And we will see you all very shortly in something else.
See you next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.